Given the recent performance of Alpine in the last World Endurance Championship race at Spa, it is safe to say that Mick Schumacher has a real opportunity this year to win Le Mans, something his illustrious father failed to do. Schumacher Sr. always emphasised how crucial racing in sports cars was for his remarkable success in Formula 1, and he starred on his one outing in the French Endurance Classic. At the start of 1991, Schumacher was a rising talent. He was the reigning German Formula 3 champion, had won the prestigious Macau Grand Prix, and had contested 3 races in the World Sports Prototype Championship, equivalent to today's WEC, for the Sauber Mercedes Group C squad. Schumacher had been part of the 1990 Mercedes junior team, in which he took it in turns with Austrian Karl Wendlinger and fellow German Heinz-Harald Frentzen to share the second C11 with the experienced Jochen Mass. Schumacher scored 2 seconds and a victory in the Mexico City finale and, along with Wendlinger, became a full-time member of the Silver Arrows for 1991. Sports car rules were changing, with the previous dominant 5-litre turbocharged V8 C11 being forced to carry extra weight as it was gradually replaced by the 3.5-litre naturally aspirated flat 12 C291. While veterans Mass and Jean-Louis Schlesser contested the first half of the campaign in the C11, Schumacher and Wendlinger were in the C291 from the start. The new Mercedes was unreliable, largely due to severe engine issues, and when it was running, it was utterly outpaced by Jaguar's brilliant XJR14. That car, which would take both the drivers' and team's titles that year, was designed by Ross Brawn, a man who would later be a crucial part of Schumacher's enormous F1 success with both Benetton and Ferrari. But at the 1991 Le Mans 24 Hours, the new 3.5-litre machines were not expected to last. The Tom Walkinshaw Racing Jaguar team resorted to its venerable V12 XJR12, while Sauber Mercedes entered 3 C11s. This was the first and last time the legendary C11 had a chance to win Le Mans. The team had withdrawn from the 1990 24 Hours after lots of controversy and the removal of the race from the championship calendar, leaving Jaguar to score a 1-2. Given its domination elsewhere in 1990, the C11 was one of the favourites for the 1991 Le Mans, with Schumacher sharing the number 31 car with Wendlinger and fellow youngster Fritz Kreutzpointner. All 3 were Le Mans rookies, and Wendlinger qualified their machine 4th fastest, while reigning world champion Schlesser went quickest in the number 1 Sauber Mercedes. The new 3.5-litre cars that did appear, led by Peugeot's 905, were allowed to start from the front, irrespective of qualifying times. That meant the Silver Arrows actually lined up 11th, 12th and 13th, but took little time in establishing their supremacy in the race. The Peugeot team, run by Schumacher's future Ferrari boss Jean Todt, suffered an early pit fire and was soon out of contention. It took less than 3 hours for Sauber Mercedes to establish a 1-2-3, with Wendlinger and then Schumacher leading the way. Schumacher maintained the lead throughout his stint, but sports car rookie Kreutzpointner lost out to Schlesser early on Saturday evening. The number 31 car nevertheless remained in contention for the lead until Wendlinger spun at the Dunlop chicane on cold tyres and hit the tyre wall. He made it back to the pits, but the car lost around 6 minutes and fell to 9th. While the Schlesser, Mass, Allen Ferté Mercedes continued to lead from the C11 shed by Jonathan Palmer, Stanley Dickens and Kurt Thiem, Wendlinger put on a charge to make up for the lost ground. He got back up to 3rd around quarter distance and Schumacher continued the good work. It was during his rapid night stint that Schumacher recorded what would be the fastest lap of the race, 3 minutes 35.564 seconds. Not only was that 2 seconds quicker than any other car managed during the 24 hours, it was only 3/10 slower than Wendlinger's qualifying lap and was nearly 4.5 seconds quicker than the lap record from 1990, which was the first year the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight were used. Shortly after 1 a.m, the junior C11 moved back into 2nd place. With the 3rd Sauber Mercedes soon delayed by underbody damage due to debris, the 1991 Le Mans started to look like a 2-horse race, the veterans versus the youngsters. The Jaguars, like the C11s running with extra weight due to the rules and with 7.4-litre engines, could not stand the pace and stick to their fuel allocation at the same time. Instead, the biggest threat to Mercedes seemed to be the rotary-engined Mazda 787B of Johnny Herbert, Volker Wieler and Bertrand Gachot, which was having a surprisingly strong run, helped by being allowed to run 170 kilos lighter than its rivals. At half distance though, it was 3 laps down on the leading C11. Schumacher's Sauber lost the race during the 13th hour, Wendlinger coming into the pits with a gearbox problem that cost more than half an hour. When the recovering number 32 car retired with an engine problem, it was thought to be the result of the earlier damage, and Mercedes was down to just one crew in contention. The lead car did start overheating, but such was its advantage that the drivers were able to back off and were still 3 laps ahead after 18 hours. Schumacher's car got back up to 5th and was among the Jaguars after yet another recovery drive, but was then hit by overheating issues. A water pump drive belt was replaced and another 12 minutes was lost, giving a hint to the team as to a potential problem, but the part in question had not broken before, so Mercedes pressed on. Then, with just over 3 hours to go and while still 3 laps ahead, the leading car's alternator support bracket fractured and Furte crawled in. The same pulley drove the alternator and the water pump, so the C11 was retired with a cooked engine. Anodising the part for no apparent reason other than it looked nicer had made it too brittle. All that meant that the Schumacher, Wendlinger, Kreuz-Pointner car was the only Mercedes left. A combination of overheating and the gaps of the Mercedes and trio of reliable Jaguars meant 5th was the best they could do, but their pace had not been in question. They finished 7 laps down on the winning Mazda, far less than the time they had lost with the various delays. In fact, Wendlinger believed they'd gone too fast. "I don't know why we did that," he said, "but we know now for next year." Sadly, there wouldn't be a next year as Mercedes withdrew from sports car racing at the end of 1991. Schumacher would never come back either, but had left his mark with a stirring performance and a new lap record in his sole Le Mans outing. Just 2 months after the race, Schumacher got his F1 break. With Gachot in prison following an altercation with a London taxi driver, the 22-year-old was brought in to race for new F1 team Jordan at the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix. Despite not having raced at Spa before, he famously started 7th and did enough to trigger a battle for his services between Jordan and Benetton, despite the fact that his car's clutch failed on the opening lap. Autosport's Grand Prix editor Nigel Roebuck said that the rookie had driven the Jordan 191 at a rate it had not encountered before. "Once in a while, you get the feeling about a new driver, an impression that this is the start of a major career," added Roebuck. "I feel it there with Schumacher." Even at this early stage, Schumacher pointed to the benefits of driving powerful sports cars on his way to F1. "Working with a big team, you get a lot of experience, you get a lot of miles," he said. "And in the racing situations, you learn also. I know cars with a lot of power. When we drove the turbo car, we had more than 700 brake horsepower, and in qualifying, nearly 900. By the time Schumacher and Wendlinger won the 1991 sports car finale at Autopolis with the improved C291, Schumacher was a Benetton F1 driver. He had started the F1 journey that would take him to 2 world titles at Benetton and another 5 with Ferrari in one of the most successful motorsport careers of all time. For a while, there was the possibility of Schumacher being called back to Mercedes should it decide to re-enter F1. The German manufacturer did that as an engine supplier to Sauber in 1993, but Schumacher would not appear in silver again until his second F1 career between 2010 and 2012, after he'd taken his 91 F1 wins and 7 titles. But even as he started racking up his F1 successes, Schumacher was still happy to give credit to his time in endurance racing for some of the skills that had made him so formidable. After sensationally finishing second in the 1994 Spanish Grand Prix despite his Benetton being stuck in 5th gear, he said, "My experience in Group C sports cars helped me because I learned a lot of ways of running differently, of changing my driving style, usually to save fuel. I use that same driving style today and it certainly helped me a lot." Michael's son Mick has had a very different career path. But if he can star at Le Mans for Alpine, it will stand as a fine reminder of Schumacher Sr.'s efforts in 1991. And just maybe, he can right a family wrong and stand on the podium of the greatest endurance race in the world.